there's two aspects. There's one, how are you actually going to be productive and get your work done? So for many people, maybe you want to be thinking about planning your day really carefully and whether or not you want to be working in your pajamas or not. For some people, some people may actually find that they will have the opportunity to be liberated from wearing usual work attire, so go ahead, wear your pajamas. But then the other aspect to all of this is how you communicate with your teams. So there'll be people who are used to working from home by themselves, and there'll be people who are normally part of teams and who will be disrupted, asked to be doing their work from home, but still need to figure out how they can maintain that contact with their boss, with their other colleagues. What are the measures that they're going to do to make sure they're checking in with each other about how work is getting done, and how can things that are normally done in person and in the office, how that could be translated to a remote environment.
Matthew, that's something else many people might not think about. I've actually worked from home and I was so surprised about how isolating it can be, lonely. I actually preferred coming into work personally. So what are the mental health issues people need to think about?
I think the biggest challenge is this is being sprung on a lot of us, and if we've never worked from home before and our organisations haven't set up how to communicate, it can feel like it's creating a lot of anxiety in the background of everything else which is going on. There are over 8 million people already work in the UK remotely in some way already. It's not a new thing. And actually, it's relatively straightforward. As Anna says, make sure that you're communicating really well, put some structure in your day. But that structure should also be break times. You know, have that cuppa in the afternoon. Make sure you're connecting to your social circle. Not everyone at work works 100% of the time about work, right, in the offices. So
you might find yourself working a little bit harder to prove that you're not watching ITVB.
That's what happens, exactly. And we slack off at work, so we're allowed to slack off at home a little bit as well.
Channel 5, sorry. 5 star.
But closing that laptop at the end of the day, you know, if you finish at 5 p.m. or whenever you finish, make sure that you are switching off, you are taking your breaks. But also, I think the biggest challenge, as you say, is not necessarily isolation, but not bumping into other people and being able to say, hey, actually, I'm struggling a little bit, or this is a bit of a challenge. So making sure that if you are struggling, reach out to your friends, to your network, to your colleagues. And if you're a boss, if you've got people who are sent into their workplaces at home, check in on them, see how they're doing, and actually listen to what they say.
One of the big impacts from all of this, Jasmine, has been how this has been impacting self-employed, freelancers. They're losing jobs, jobs are getting cancelled. Any kind of advice for financial support for people like that?
Well, yes, certainly if you are a freelancer, it's a good idea right now to sign on for universal credit. It's not a huge amount of money that you're going to get.
What, like about $370 a month?
It's not a lot.
If you're like single, over 25.
Exactly. However, if you're on that, and the other thing, of course, it takes a long time for you to get it. A long time. Sorry about that. But it does mean that potentially you qualify for other help, help with housing, help with council tax, and some other benefits. So it really is worth signing on, as I say, doing it now, because it will take a while to do, particularly at the moment, because there's going to be a lot of people going for it.
So in terms of then setting up at home, what is your advice? I kind of trying to be funny, making light of it, just setting up in your front room and on your sofa, but that's not really the best thing to do, really, if you're trying to create that office and working space.
I would strongly suggest that you find some space that becomes your dedicated workspace. For some people, that might be a spare room that you can turn into an office. Great. For most people, it will be the end of their kitchen table, and that's fine. If you can, try and use a chair that's going to be supportive for your back and all of those things. But most people, that's going to be just sit on the chair that you have available. And go into that space thinking, okay, this is my temporary office. And maybe at the end of the day, you close your laptop and you clear it, and that table then becomes your kitchen table again. But it is really, I think it's a really good idea to get into the mindset that this is the place that I work, rather than kind of taking your laptop around and sitting on the sofa, because what you'll find is at the end of the day, you'll want to just relax and watch TV, and that's the place that you've been working all day. So it's a good idea to try and create some separation, even if that doesn't mean having a actual physical room that is your office.
What about people who are going to work, even if they are sick? We could find, I mentioned earlier, freelancers, self-employed, where they're going to lose money, they need to eat, and they're just saying, look, I might have symptoms, or I might be unwell, but I cannot afford to follow advice. Yeah,
it is a real problem. We are hearing already of people going to work because they need to make ends meet. unfortunately, a big anxiety for a lot of the self-employed is that that work is going away. We're hearing lots of stories of projects being cancelled, if events are being cancelled, whether the piece around sport, you know, all of the people working around those sorts of activities don't have something to go to. So that's a real concern for a lot of people. And also another issue is not necessarily being unwell, but not able to work because perhaps you're a carer or a parent. And if you're trying to work and you've got two small people running around, that's going to be challenging for a lot of individuals. So I think making connections with people who you can lighten the load with, if there are individuals who are in your network that can work, can you share the load with them and buddy up in some way? But really relying upon your social networks and your professional networks.
And Jasmine, really quickly, any advice on how to make a little extra money on the side? Jobs working from home, maybe, for those who might be losing out?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on my website, moneymagpie.com, we have literally hundreds of ways that you can make money on the side. And right now, I think the first thing to do, if you're forced to be at home, you know, just have a look at what there is that you could sell. I mean, you know, this is actually a really good opportunity to do a bit of a spring clean, de-junk, and sell as much as you can. That's sort of not instant money, but it's quite quick money. Certainly with, you know, sell your mobile phones, you can get pretty instant cash for that. So that would be my start, and then have a look online.
Okay, let's try and get creative in all of this. Jasmine, Matthew and Anna, really good talking to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.